Hey guys, constantly dissolving cat, and I'm going to run a few maps on my Trapper Inquisitor. This is just some Sextant's channels, nothing too fancy. Run a couple of maps, talk about the build. So far, I'm really enjoying the build. As you can see, it is a MoM hybrid character, so it actually has a decent amount of effective EHP. We're looking at like 7 to 9k health, depending on if your energy shield is reliably staying up or not. I am using two cheap construction jewels and a sunblast belt, so I have instantly proccing traps, which is why you can see that I can just sort of throw them and they will always trigger. The main weakness of the build is defense. The damage is pretty solid. I'm not on a level 20 lightning trap. What drops? And I'm not running a lot of DPS supports because I completely messed up that sentence. Apologies, let me start that again. I'm not running a level 20 lightning trap, and I'm not running a very DPS heavy tree because I dropped a bunch of points in order to get more defense. And the playstyle is fairly comfortable. I did also consider running a hybrid setup and going hybrid with some reservations. And I would run a Blasphemy, Temp Chains, Discipline, and then leave just enough mana open for, casting my traps. The reason why I chose not to go that playstyle is it just felt a little bit too tight on the mana. Since the mana cost of these traps are fairly high, they all cost like 100 plus. And my single target setup, which I'll show you when we get to the boss, completely destroys my mana. So I just couldn't really get away with that playstyle. As you can see, the lightning trap's nearly one-shotting everything. It one-shots most things, and sometimes I do need to throw another one. And that is mostly just to do with crit consistency. And when I get better gear, more points, that will solve itself out. So yeah, but you can see that I'm not really struggling when it comes to the cooldown of traps because of the use of the Tinkerskin chest and hasty reconstruction. I'm not using any helm enchants, I'm not a saboteur. I do have reduced cooldown recovery on boots. I do not have it in belt in this video because we are using the sunblast belt, and so far the build is sort of feeling pretty good. If I could improve anything, like what would be the dream things to pick up, I would want a assassin's mark on hit ring. That'd be the real big thing, just to short up my crit, and then that would let me drop the crit strikes gem off my lightning trap for another DPS support. But you can see that I currently use a bunch of volatile dead traps, which is pretty powerful because you can pre-lay it into the boss. This was a bit of a bad boss to show this off on, but what I do is I throw the trap, cast the desecrate, and then the dead boss. So yeah, sort of works. We did skip a few monsters. That wasn't the cleanest clear. So let's see if we can do a better job on the next two. While that loads in, we can see we're using our level 19 lightning trap at the moment. Deal you want level 21 with cluster trap, controlled destruction, added lightning, crit strikes, added cold. The reason why I'm running added cold is so I can reliably shatter. If you had enough flat cold on gear through jewels, etc, 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 then you could drop the added cold support for something else, but currently I'm just having to use that. You could also maybe mess around with hypothermia, but the problem with hypothermia, while you are very reliably chilling mods, the goal is to eventually one-shot them, not to get them low and then use a second trap to finish them. The reason I'm not quite clean one-shotting monsters yet is because, as I'll show you when I show you my skill tree at the end of the video, I haven't really invested that much into damage because I've been hard chasing life. If I was in softcore, I would have about another 10 or so points invested into damage, and I wouldn't have bothered going so hard on the whole hybrid thing. Sorry also that I'm a bit stoppy starting this video. Lots of random things going on at the moment, and I'm a bit distracted slightly, somewhat. So, the build's feeling alright. The build's feeling better than I thought it would, actually. The only thing that is to go now is literally just to level up gems. But the trap cooldown really isn't a concern at all. When it came to coming up with single target options, there are a few different setups I tried. I started with Cremation Trap. Cremation Trap feels good when the boss doesn't move. Cremation does amazing damage, but the second stuff moves, it feels terrible. And when it comes to just pre-laying damage, I feel like Volatile Dead Trap just does a better job. And it's also more reliable against a wide variety of bosses. If you had a Eldish or Shaper weapon, which was like a pseudo 5-link, I would actually consider running a Cremation Trap and a Volatile Dead Trap for just going crazy on the pre-casting on bosses. The only other trap setups I would really like to try would be a Ball Lightning Trap, but that requires having the reduced movement speed Helminchon. The reason why I'd like to try out Ball Lightning Trap is if you link Ball Lightning with slower proj with the reduced projectile speed Helm, it basically moves at a non-existent speed and just crazy melts bosses. And with Cluster Trap, you get a bunch of things just overlapping. So you can like instantly delete bosses. The problem is you need a very specific Helm enchant. And because I'm currently investing on hybrid gear, I need it on the correct base. And they just currently aren't any bases for sale in hardcore which aren't pure evasion. And as I said, I don't really feel too comfortable dropping a bunch of my defense by losing, you know, a good like 400 energy shield or so by dropping my current Helm. So yeah. If you didn't want to play the whole hybrid thing, you could invest more into just life and mana. If you played softcore, you would be fine with just 5k life, 1.7k mana. You probably have a bit more. You can probably get up to about 2.2k mana with my current setup by just getting mana rolls in all of your gear. I'm currently missing a lot of mana rolls because I've been investing more heavily into hybrid gear. Originally, I did plan on going... See if we can get a clean overlay. MoM, the reason why I dropped MoM was because I dropped the hair trigger jewels to go Sunblast Belt. So if you don't know, one of the features of Tinker Skin is the whole you gain life and energy shield when you trigger a trap. Now, if all of your traps trigger at once, then that doesn't actually count as triggering, because they have to be triggered by an enemy. I'm doing an amazing job of explaining that, or failing to. Right. Recover 100 life when your trap is triggered by an enemy. Recover 50 energy shield when your trap is triggered by an enemy. If I throw out 6 traps, 5 an additional 1, but anyway, if I throw out, you know, 5, 6 traps, and they trigger themselves through Sunblast, this doesn't proc. If there's a mob nearby, I will always get a slight heal to both my life and energy shield. But I'm not getting like chunk healed for like 500 life, you know, 250 energy shield. Now, originally I was running hair trigger jewels, which I'll show you, which look like this, and they increase your trap trigger area of effect. With 3 of these and the Expedious Munitions cluster, you only have a trigger AoE of 19 yards, which really doesn't feel that great. And when it comes to pre-laying damage with stuff like Volatile Dead or Cremation, you can't do it as easily. One of the advantages of having traps which don't trigger instantly is being able to pre-lay traps, so like throwing traps which won't explode until the monsters spawn. But if you can just do this and have a bunch of Volatile Deads waiting before you open the boss or the essence of the strongbox, then that's just easier and you have way smoother map clear through the lightning traps. That's why I went for the setup that I currently went for. And it just sort of feels the best. The Volatile Dead's currently only in a 5-link because of the gloves I currently have. And again, there's a hidden text. If you have gloves socketed gems ordered by level of trap with no trap damage roll, they throw an additional trap. Ideally, I would get a pair of gloves like these.
Stop the torrent. It can only divert it.
Thanks, Shaper. I'll get a pair of gloves like these, which also have socketed spells with a bunch of multi. And then the Volatile Dead Trap will do big boy damage. Also having a higher level, you know, like a level 18 trap to a level 22 trap, which is the maximum roll you can get on gloves, would also be rather nice. But yeah, I can recommend Lightning Trap. It feels pretty good with a Tinker Skin. Now, for people saying, why don't you play Sab? I've covered this a few times. You just don't need to. And also the whole, like, but then you would need to use the Sunblast Belt thing. you still need to invest a bunch of jewels to get hair trigger radius, because the way that the sab trap trigger thing works through chain reaction, it doesn't just trigger all of your traps, it only triggers some nearby traps. Let's just throw these into the bolt of it. Okay. Oh, wow, you're tanky. And also, one thing you'll notice when I do my single target setup, you're really tanky. What the hell? Okay. I throw the traps, then cast the Desecrate afterwards. The reason why I do that is that while the traps are flying through the air, the Desecrate spawns. If you cast Desecrate, then throw the traps, it takes longer than doing it that way. So yeah, throw the traps, then cast the Desecrate. Obviously, if you had enough trap throwing speed, it could maybe throw that out of line. Just sort of depends on what your cast speed, etc. is at. I'll go back for that chisel. So yes. I still really want to try out EK traps since I'm currently not struggling with cooldown reduction. The best thing I can do now would be to make my build struggle with cooldown reduction by swapping over to EK traps. I won't do that until I have 2 OP Shaper weapons. And also, a friend of mine showed me a really cool trick to rolling Shaper caster weapons. You don't actually use a dagger, but you use a sword and craft cannot roll attack mods on it. And then when you slam exalt it, you can only hit the really big boy ones. So, seems pretty interesting. So you want to get like a low-level rapier with a multi-implicit roll, and then just sort of go ham. You do struggle a little bit with dex requirements on those weapons, so that's something you need to be aware of, but it's worth it if you get something really OP, right? Seems good. Since this build's only going to get better as I get more damage, get more levels, and I'm currently level 86, I think this will probably be the one character that I actually push this league. So far I've basically just been getting characters like 90 odd and then getting bored of them. What did you want? So yeah, I think we'll just keep going. We'll just play this until I die, and this will hopefully be what I get all my currency to. And of course, it would be the Tarke thing to do, to play a miner to 100 to then play a fucking trapper to 100. But yes. If you did drop the Tinker skin, you would have to have the Lightning Helm enchant. If you had the Lightning Trap cooldown recovery enchant, you could drop Tinker skin and maybe go Cones, which is something I'm also considering if you had a really broken, like 7-8 link Shaper Elder item. There are a few different things you can do with this build to make it feel tankier. Currently, it feels alright-ish. I might also like drop this whole hybrid thing, since you'll see my Any Shield is regularly just like dropping down to nothing. But I find that one of the things which is kind of nice about it is it just stops my mana from getting hit when I'm just map clearing. And it does protect me against one-shots quite nicely. When I'm on full life, full mana, full Any Shield, it's a very high total EHP. And for what I'm currently doing, it feels pretty smooth. And obviously, with the whole trap playstyle, for bossing, you're often like just being mobile, moving around. So you can actually quite comfortably sit and wait for the cooldown recovery time. It's a little bit finger heavy. I guess that'd be one of the weaknesses of the build. And also, that is another nice thing about Volatile Dead, is that you don't actually need to be anywhere near what you're attacking. It's decent. It's passable. So yeah. Let's show you the skill tree real quick, what I'm planning on going for, and then we'll peace out. So it's been a bit of a long video, and sorry I've been so disorientated. So I'm missing Throat Seeker and Saboteur. Those are the main things I'm going for. Also, Crackling Speed I would get if I was going for a pure Lightning setup, since I'm currently mixed Lightning Fire for single target. So I haven't gone that yet. You're saying, why the hell haven't you got Clever Construction? Because I have my traps instantly triggering, and because of a change that happened in 3.0, traps can't be killed while in the air, so I don't need it. So this is something that you get in high 90s, and my main priority was just to get life, so I don't fall over. You could drop this section here, to then get this, but I want to not die, because I play hardcore. If you played softcore, grab that first. And for jewels, we're using cheap construction, and then damage, life, crit chance. If you haven't done all crit recently, because I'm a trap build, I don't crit, except for maybe the odd crit on the shield charge, but the shield charge only has a 15% chance to crit, a bit higher with power charges compared to 44% chance to crit with the lightning trap without power charges. Then we have, this just fixes my resists, and that's it, because we have nothing in here because of the Sunblast belt. For gear, we're going for a flat damage to spells, attack speed, crit chance, spell damage. You basically just want loads of crit. If you had enough damage, you would drop this for a Bright Beak, also makes resist gearing easier. High energy shield, life resist helmet. Life, energy shield, resists. Tinker skin. Life, energy shield, mana resists. The trap gloves throw an additional trap. Sunblast belt, get one with trap damage and resistances. Has cooldown recovery on it with no resist, sadly. It's also why my stuff is very tight everywhere else. Also, ideally, and when I farm the hell out of lab, I want to get these boots with 100%, 120% crit chance if you haven't crit recently. And also, on that note, I need to get my Uber Lab to get my Augury of Penitence, which is a 60% more elemental damage multiplier. That's the reason I'm really not worried about the damage scaling of this build. Considering I'm missing levels on the gem, we will drop the crit chance support for a proper multiplier. We're going to gain a 16 multiplier there. We're missing crit multi and 44% trap damage. Discombobulated cat. Also, I just wanted to briefly thank everyone for all the kind words after the health video we posted yesterday. I'll give a more updated, more coherent video on this in the future. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.